is the Wall Street Business Network.
Are you one of the 9 million Floridians living in a community managed by a property manager or HOA? If you've ever wondered what your rights are as a resident or what your role is as a volunteer board member, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Condo Coaches, your resource for when your gated community starts to feel more like you're stuck behind bars, or when that guy next door decides that a hot pink Chevy on cinder blocks really sets the tone for the neighborhood. The Condo Coaches is brought to you by lmfunding.com. Find the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. And now your host, Johnny Torres.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all recovering from a crazy Easter weekend, I'm sure. It's the Condo Coaches radio show. Thank you so much for listening every single week from wherever you may be doing so. Again, we carry this show worldwide if you catch it online. And then, of course, we broadcast it through some amazing radio stations throughout the state of Florida, from all the way down to Miami, all the way through Orlando and Tampa Bay, where the show is headquartered. And we are here to serve you. We are a team of volunteers with expertise across a plethora of industries, and our efforts here are to help you run your community and your association effectively, efficiently, and on budget. We come to you every week with a lot of great information. If you want more information on either the Condo Coaches or anything we discuss on the show, make sure you visit our website, thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com. But going to start the show like we always do by introducing head coach Dean Akers.
Hey, Johnny, hope you and your family had a wonderful Easter time.
It's Easter weekend. I mean, how do you not have a great time? It's a great opportunity to hang out with friends and family and eat way too much sugar. And of course, a little extra time with the kiddos. So a great weekend all around.
Well, you gotta love it. What's fun for me is on Easter Sunday, guess what? We were still getting calls.
I was going to say, I was like, oh, please don't tell me you were working.
Well, what happened was we've had some cool calls from residents and board members across the state.
Yeah.
And this is a 24/7 volunteer job.
Of course.
I feel like I'm a volunteer fireman or something, but
where you're always on call.
We're always on call, but it was amazing this weekend. We had some really cool calls, and I was able in the afternoon because I'm an older guy, so all my kids are older and traveling, and my grandkids were out of town. So I was able to be a condo coach on Easter.
Nice. Okay, so you were off the grandfather duty.
Well, I was the Easter Bunny condo coach.
Okay. So instead of little chocolates, it was little nuggets of advice and expertise.
Exactly.
There we go. All right. Well, that's awesome. And, of course, I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of listener emails and stuff this week. But before we get into that, definitely want to introduce the gentleman sitting next to you in a beautiful Easter purple shirt today. Thank you so much for joining us, Barry Scarr. He's going to be our insurance coach for today, principal at Scarr Insurance Group, a Florida State Seminole. I know that gets a lot of love out there, especially here in Tampa Bay. Yep. He's been a principal at Scarr Insurance Group since 1984. Congratulations on that. And prior to that, a condo property manager. So a perfect fit for the Condo Coaches. How you doing, Barry?
Great, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And we, of course, we're going to touch on a number of things. But before we do that, we do like to open up the show typically with, like I said, listener emails, some phone calls, Facebook messages, but kind of a quiet weekend, at least online. So maybe you can kind of tap into some of the phone calls you got over the weekend.
Well, I got a number of people that reached out again for books.
Okay.
And they actually reached out on phone calls, so I was able to get data from them. We finished up a couple financial reviews. Probably one of the most popular things that I personally am doing as a coach now is financial reviews, where they're sending in their balance sheet, their income statement,
and so the board of directors for the homeowner association will send you all their financial statements, and then you have a worksheet, a spreadsheet, where you kind of drop all these numbers in to give them a true black and white assessment of where their community is financially.
Yeah, and what's different is there's, as you know, we've had Percy on the show. He's a CPA that specializes in this space.
Right.
We bring a different perspective. We bring more of a business perspective. So I'm able to take that 2-year spread and come back to him. And Barry and I were talking at lunch, and I was telling him about it. He says, do you find theft or whatever? And I said, no, I find misunderstandings. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so
miscommunication.
Well, they're not accustomed to accrual-based accounting and the balance sheet. Nobody understands that.
Yeah.
So once I give it back to them in what I call a very clean, easy format, they feel comfortable. And more importantly, they have to put action steps together, and I'm sure we'll have, Percy back on for that too.
Well, and again, as we always like to remind people, we're volunteering doing this. And when we talk about these financial assessments, it costs them absolutely nothing for them to reach out to the condo coaches, send in their financial paperwork for you to do this assessment for them. Because oftentimes they are either not looking at their statements or they're not understanding their statements, and you're able to break it down through this worksheet in a much more palatable way.
That, and we're able to give them advice as to what they need to do next, and whether it's a special assessment, debt structure. We have 2 associations, one last week, back to your point of last week.
Yeah.
I had one that sent their information in. They're wanting to do a financing project. So we were able to put the whole financial package together. We actually have a template now for financial packaging.
Awesome. Well, and again, you briefly mentioned the playbook, so let me go get into that. For those of you listening for the first time, again, we're a team of volunteers here, sharing our expertise to help your community association run effectively, efficiently, and on budget. And one of the things we love doing is dispensing valuable information that's going to help you do that. And one of the ways that we've done that successfully has been through our playbooks. All you've got to do is go to our website, thecondocoaches.com. That's thecondocoaches.com/playbook. All right, /playbook there at the end of that URL. And you are not going to get only one of these. You're actually going to get all 4 of these. And if you're watching our live stream on Facebook, you're actually seeing me fiddle around with these notebooks. But these 4 notebooks are incredibly valuable to you and your board, because the information here is the information that nobody tells you that you're going to be dealing with when you sign up to be a board member. So the first booklet, which we've printed, just this booklet alone, over 4,000 copies. It's the top 10 things, most important things you need to know if you are a board member. Our second booklet, which again we kind of call the more important of the bunch, is collecting delinquent association fees, because again, that's an incredibly important topic and oftentimes where a lot of these problems originate. Our third booklet being the ABCs of holding elections, again, also very controversial topic at times in many communities, and so we want to help you do that smoothly, and so we put together an elections handbook here, the ABCs of holding elections. And then our final book, which is going to be pretty much our topic for the day in some ways, is understanding your community's finances. And again, when your property management company or your CPA sends you all these financial statements, what does it mean? What do all these financial terms mean? How do you get past the jargon, right, of these financial statements, and how do you understand what you're looking at?
I got to tell you a funny story, because maybe it's a funny story. So we have all these coach volunteers around the state.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times what will happen is people would rather have a hard copy than the PDF, which we'll mail or deliver. If we have a condo coach in that area, they have the booklets with them all the time, and they can deliver them. So we had recently a group reach out, and they wanted a full set of books for their board, just like anybody would. It's a great deal.
Right.
And so our condo coach volunteer said, okay, where is it? We gave him the address and the name of the place, and he went to deliver the books just like you would. And he said it was probably one of his more unique experiences. It happened to be a clothing optional place.
I was just going to say.
So,
oh boy,
the
wow.
coach, he said,
Good thing he had a lot of booklets.
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. So that's never happened, but we're open to delivering to any kind of place we need to go to. It certainly wasn't a bad thing. But
oh my gosh.
He called me about 30 minutes later. He said, "Do you know where you sent me?" I said, "Yeah," but I didn't think that would matter. He goes, and then he explained to me everything. So
that's funny.
So we're even in clothing optional places helping board.
Hey, they have associations too.
You know what the irony of it is? They actually need some help. They're going to be sending us some financial data. They're a big group, but they were self-managed.
Yeah.
and they went self-managed about 3 or 4 years ago, and they want some insight, so they're going to use the Condo Coaches. So, Johnny, we're sending you.
Oh, yeah, I don't think so. Unless I can borrow a robe
We'll send Barry.
A big towel.
Big towel. Now you're bragging. Anyway, we'll get off that.
All right. Well, if you want one of these booklets or all of these booklets, again, you can go to the website, thecondocoaches.com/playbook. When you sign up there at the playbook section of our website, you get them delivered right to your email. So not only can you download them right from our website, but it also emails them right to you. So you don't have to worry about getting a copy because we just send them right to you. Now, if you want the hard copy, which Dean just talked about, we are more than happy to send those to you as well. All you've got to do is reach out to us via email. And that's help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. And as I like to say, because that's what we like to do around here, we like to help you out. Now, if you want to be a part of the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. One is our phone number. Our phone number here hasn't changed, 813-331-5415. That works anywhere in the United States, 813-331-5415. That gets you plugged into the Condo Coaches Network. We'll get you lined up with the Condo Coach that's going to be able to help you out with your situation. And then, of course, you can leave us a message as we're streaming live on Facebook right now. I've got it open in my laptop right here in front of me. Facebook.com/thecondocoaches, Facebook.com/thecondocoaches. And another great way, and my favorite way to digest the show, because I listen to the show to make sure everything sounds good. And, of course, I can't get enough of Dean's voice. And so, got iTunes, where you can pick up the podcast on the world famous iTunes from anywhere in the world. Also, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and then I think even some people are picking it up on Overcast. So the audio portion or the audio version of our show, also incredibly popular. But if you do want the video version, because you just can't get enough of Dean's beautiful face, you can get it. You can catch that on YouTube or on Facebook, and just search the Condo Coaches. Again, we have Barry Scarr with us here. He's our insurance coach for today's show. He's also president of the Suncoast chapter of the Community Associations Instutute, and we'll get into all of that in the next segment. Segment 2, the Condo Coaches radio show, coming up right here. Again, give us a call, 813-331-5415. We'll be right back.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse, because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Hey, thank you again for listening, watching, wherever you may be doing so, be it at facebook.com/thecondocoaches, where we are currently streaming live, or if you catch us on any of the great radio stations across the state of Florida, you can also catch us via the iHeartRadio app. So regardless of what radio station you're listening to us on, we are also available on the iHeartRadio app whenever the show is live. So if you get out of your car and you go into the home, or you're going into the office, feel free to take the show with you, be it the podcast version or even the iHeartRadio live broadcast as well. So it's just so encouraging and exciting to be able to offer this show on so many different platforms because, again, the information is incredibly valuable, and having it on demand like that for people, regardless of when or where they want to digest the show, is just incredibly empowering. And so thanks to all the great radio stations that carry the show. And then, of course, Facebook, YouTube, search the Condo Coaches. You can catch all the previous episodes, including today's show. We are going to talk Community Association Insurance with our special guest, Barry Scarr. He's our insurance coach for the day. And Barry, give us a little bit of background on you first before we get into the topic.
Well, coming out of college in the early '70s recession, didn't know what much to do. Started working for a management company. Condos and associations were really just evolving out of the legislature, and went to work with U.S. Home at that time in Clearwater, and Mr. Ruttenberg was at the helm at that time, and was making Pinellas grow quite a bit. So it was really evolving, and worked at the management company arm, Southwest Management. Helen Sarver was the head of that, and was starting to transition condos from the turnover from the developer, the classic situation developer, to the homeowners. Has never been done before, and so all of a sudden associations are getting pumped out in Pinellas big time, and so I started doing that. I did that for 10 years, and realized I liked procuring the insurance, and so I had an opportunity to go with Nationwide Insurance at that time, and they and the other direct writers, Allstate and State Farm, were writing most of the association and homeowner business in Florida, so I kind of grew it with that, brought that in to play with them, so it kind of grew with CI. As a matter of fact, I want to mention that in 1978, Helen Sarver did visit a conference in Washington called Community Associations Instutute, and realized that we need something like this in Florida. She started the first chapter. We have 8 now, so I've been involved since then. But it's a great organization, and I can for people in our listening area, get involved in CAI. It's not only it's great networking, but as a board member, you're going to rub elbows with other board members and other owners, and you're going to have talk about your common problems and your common solutions and how we get along. And
right.
And one of the big things with CAI is creating harmony in the community. So it's an addition to understanding all the pieces, but the end result is to try to have a harmonious.
Well, and I think in a very similar way, that's been our approach with the Condo Coaches from day one. How do we help these volunteers run their associations, and how do they avoid some of the conflict? How do they avoid some of the miscommunication that happens in these communities? And so, of course, Percy, again, has been on the show a couple times, and he's been a great friend of the show, and also has been able to communicate some of the advantages to keeping tabs on the Community Associations Institute and the resources, and of course, like you said, many of the benefits that come with being a part of an organization like CAI.
And it's very inexpensive for an association or a board member to join. It's cheaper for the association, and as many members can come to the functions. But the breakfast program venues right here in St. Pete Clearwater once a month, and it's just a great way. The whole purpose of CI is education, so it's all going to be skewed towards that. And we've got a lot of board members that are involved. And as you guys were mentioning, and Dean and I at lunch, talking about what a big industry this is, and people don't realize that Florida is approaching 50,000 associations, community associations.
That's incredible.
HOA condo co-ops, and we just surpassed California. So we're number 1 by far.
Wow.
Heavily regulated, yes.
Sure.
But it's pretty massive. Over 50% of Florida, 10 million people, live in a common interest association of some nature, and so people are coming in. I mean, a friend of mine says to me, "Would you go into business with 50 strangers you've never met before? Would you go into a financial arrangement that you are legally binding with 50 strangers?" And you're going to go, "Hell no."
Right.
Managing millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, guess what you just did when you bought a condo or an HOA?
Yeah.
So people don't realize that they're connected legally and financially to this city, these small communities. and they don't have any experience. So we, as the professionals, Dean and I, and the attorneys and the CPAs and the contractors and the other business partners come in to try to help give advice and help them steer through this.
Well, and again, so really, again, we're on the same page in terms of education, in terms of wanting to help them out. Again, volunteers as we are. Tell us some of the educational resources that are available for people that are serving on boards that CAI provides.
There's a plethora of books and publications strictly for in all phases of the community association.
So basically, go to the website.
You can go to suncocai.com.
suncocai.com. Okay.
Suncocai.com. We have a West Florida chapter for Sarasota, Manatee. So between our two chapters, that's the Central West Florida world, and they're very active, very large chapters. And you go to cai.org nationally. And
now, are there monthly meetings, bi-monthly meetings? Okay.
So we meet for breakfast at the Marriott by Feather Sound. It used to be the second Thursday, but because of trying to accommodate other functions and parties, we're getting moved around a little bit, but it's every month, and would take August off. But there's an opportunity from 8 to 10. There's classes taught, which I really think is cool. We teach CE, Community Association Manager, Property Manager CE classes after the program, and a separate class for board training. So we got both of those going, that are always available. So there's just a lot of opportunity.
One of the opportunities the Condo Coaches have done, if somebody wants to go to an association meeting in their region, the Condo Coaches, through some of our benefactors, will, if they come through us, we'll set up the reservation for breakfast, and we'll pick up their breakfast.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, and so just have them reach out to you via the email address.
Well, just to help at
So help at thecondocoaches.com. Help at thecondocoaches.com. Dean will buy you breakfast and
a CAI event
and a seat at the CAI meetings.
Yeah, you're bringing a prospect for a first timer. And letting you say, hey, look at this is what you got.
Right.
Just take it or leave it. If you hope you like it, and boom.
Beautiful. All right, so just shoot us a quick email. Help at thecondocoaches.com. Help at thecondocoaches.com. What we also are going to touch on a little bit is, of course, Community Association Insurance. That's the other reason we have you on the show today. But before we get into that, I know what Dean loves to talk about. Dean loves talking about communication. From your perspective, you have a different prism that you kind of look at this industry through. What do you see also being a frequent, outstanding issue with a lot of the associations you work with?
Well, we call it in our business risk management.
Yeah.
And try to get our associations and our boards and managers to not look at just the insurance piece. That's just one way we handle risk. There's different ways we handle risk every day. And so try to raise it up a notch by saying, look, let's look at this as a risk management. Municipalities and large corporations all have big risk management divisions. They don't do much moving forward without, consulting with those divisions. And so, I say, look, you got a risk management. We can buying insurance is one way, but sometimes we eliminate the risk. We just don't have the risk. We don't have the party at the club. We don't put in certain amenities. So that's one way of dealing with risk that certainly is an option. Self-insuring or taking on the risk ourselves is another way of, more and more associations are kind of looking at that as a business decision.
Well, and that's one of the things, I've lived in a community with a pool, a community pool, and then I've lived in a community where I live now, which there's just a big common area where it could fit a really nice pool. And of course, the conversation always comes, hey, let's throw in a pool. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And so it's always the back and forth, but these are single family homes. I mean, if you want a pool, throw it in your backyard. I mean, because again, you're passing that cost off onto all the homeowners. And look, I'm a born and raised Floridian. I mean, I've been around water, be it a pool or be it the beach my entire life. So I take it for granted. And I think I lived in a community for about 3 or 4 years, and I think I probably used the pool twice. It's one of those things where it's just not a big benefit for me. And like you said, I mean, it's not just the cost of maintenance, but it's also from an insurance standpoint, the risk that you assume by having a facility like that.
But you can get rid of that risk by either a third-party contract or insurance.
All right, we'll come back. Barry Scarr is our insurance coach for the day. Head coach Dean Akers. It's the Condo Coaches Radio Show, segment 3, coming up next.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Hey, segment 3, Condo Coaches Radio Show. Thank you so much for listening, whenever, wherever you may be doing so. Again, if you're just tuning in, you can catch this entire episode and every episode on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thecondocoaches, facebook.com/thecondocoaches, or our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com and search The Condo Coaches. We're right there, top result, and you'll see all of our videos there, even our pilot episode, and we've even broken some of them down into individual questions, and so you could easily kill a few hours there watching The Condo Coaches on YouTube as well. And if you're more of a podcaster, again, we've got that available for you as well. You can catch us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or even on Overcast now, which is kind of the new up-and-coming platform. So look for us there. We love doing this show for you, and if there's a question or issue that we can help you with, you can reach out to us via email, help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. You can also reach us by phone, 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415, and of course our website, thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com, where you can learn a little bit more about us. You can see some blog posts on there. You can watch the show right on our website as well, and you can send in questions to the show, which we typically answer at the top of every episode. So we have, again, head coach Dean Akers with us, as always, and our insurance coach for the day, our guest coach, Barry Scarr. And we were just getting into community association insurance. And so tell us why a community association needs insurance.
Well, we were talking about risk management, and just by the common sense business approach, wanting to deal with risk and its subsequences. So we need to deal with it somehow. The most logical and least expensive ways to buy insurance, and that's what we all, obviously most of us do, to deal with all the risk, driving to work in our car or going out on a boat or whatever. So that's what's going to drive us. And we were talking about when we were on the break, not having the pool. I would never deny my community or a community the enjoyable amenities that we so much enjoy in Florida and in our communities, because we don't want to deal with the risk. I think there's ways to do it, and these amenities are great.
Sure.
It's just that everybody has a different risk tolerance. So, do we want horseback riding? Probably not. But do we want a swing set and a swimming pool or a tennis court? Maybe we're going to look at those. So that's one way to do it. So anyways, we deal with that. And but the first thing the community needs to do, and 718, the condo statute, 18, the co-op statute, and 19 and 20, the HOA, they don't specifically, except for one exception, they don't mandate any insurance. They
Okay.
talk about different insurance. So the thing we've got to look at is the association's Bible, and that is in a condo, it's the Declaration of Condominium. That's we're going to see what the contract that everybody signed.
The governing documents.
Governing docs is going to say what you have to do, association. So we got to look there first, and that's going to drive us.
And the initial drawing up of those documents is done by the developer, the builder.
The builder and the attorneys, and when the association and the concept is filed in Tallahassee. So yeah, those are there.
For the most part of those boilerplate. In other words, as a builder, the developer, they pretty much kind of reuse
to
those.
some degree, but boy, it varies from community to community, from developer. It just the flavor of
Type of home, single family, multifamily.
Multifamily,
right.
Again, condo HOA mostly. We don't see co-op as much anymore because it isn't a deed real estate transaction. It's a corporation deal, but it's the older one that evolved into the condo. But so we look at the condo docs. 718 is going to tell us, what the association is responsible for insuring and what the unit owner is responsible for insuring. And then you guys got to kind of figure it out.
Right.
There's a thing called fiduciary responsibility. So it's a little different in a community where if Dean and I are partners in a business, we may decide that we don't want to buy insurance, or we're going to self-insure certain things, or because it's only going to affect us. When you're on a condo or association board, you're making decisions, business decisions that are affecting 50, 200, 1,000 owners. You got to be a little more careful. So you have to look at it differently. And so that's the difference.
Well, and also one of the things I've learned again by doing this show is that the board itself needs to be insured.
Correct. So that's most association documents will indemnify the board. So it'll take them personally out of that thing as an individual. Some may not, but most do. But you still need insurance. It's directors and officers liability. It's called OOPS. It's the OOPS insurance for boards that make an honest mistake about maybe how they arrived at a special assessment, or how they've enforced a rule or not enforced a rule, or these types of things. So I wouldn't sit on a board for 10 minutes without directors and officers liability. And the message here is so important. Property insurance is 90% of the premium. The rest of the premium is divvied up to the general liability, the D&O, and the crime.
Okay.
Don't let crime and fidelity and D&O be premium driven, because they're all about $800 to $2,000. This is not a premium issue. It's a having the right coverage issue.
Sure.
So it's so critical to do that. There's only a few carriers.
And you could have all the premium in the world, but if you don't have the right coverage,
if you don't have the policy that has the fewest exclusions, then you're going to be in a heap of trouble. And what you're getting with D&O coverage is really prepaid legal. It's you're getting defense.
Well, and
frontline defense.
Being Florida, and Florida being what it is in terms of environment, in terms of weather, give us kind of the current situation in terms of climate when it comes to insurance companies and getting the appropriate insurance that's kind of a win-win there for not only community but the insurance company as well.
You were talking climate, and I went to immediately litigious. Florida, South Florida particularly, is a very, very litigious area, the Tri-County area. The next is Tampa Bay. The trend I'm seeing, and we're going to talk about property insurance, but the other trend we are seeing is that it is not softening like the property insurance market is because of the lack of storms, but we're having more litigation with owners and boards and associations. So
interesting. The
D&O premiums are kind of rising a little bit, general liability a little bit. And we're seeing a little more action there. Well,
and I would think that, again, I mean, I think it's the timing maybe couldn't have been better than for something like the Condo Coaches and, of course, CAI, because really our goal is to help avoid those types of situations where you get into lawsuits and you get into a lot of discord between homeowners and their boards on their associations.
Right on.
We're seeing it. We're seeing on the Condo Coaches, 50% of our calls and our inquiries are for board members.
That's right.
And 50% are from unit owners.
Right.
And that disconnect is where all these problems start. And they continue that way. Back to the communication. We've had people on the show about that. It's amazing. And back to your point, would you go into business with 100 people you've never met financially.
Right.
And then have it
with knowing nothing about them.
And then have it run by 4 or 5 people that may have limited bandwidth on their own skill sets to running a business.
Who in many cases are completely unqualified to do what they're doing.
And volunteers.
Sure, right, yeah.
So
and we're not putting down the boards,
no,
but that's
not
just
at
what
all.
it is.
They're all, in fact, they should be admired for doing what they do.
Well, in my 43 years of association work, I can tell you the 2 common threads where we're going to run into trouble always in a community is when we've got egos and personal agendas.
Right.
So as soon as we get those 2, if we can get those squared away, we're going to have a much more harmonious and much more positive business decision-making process.
Well, to that note, here to kind of get your pulse, Candace on our last show talked about a piece of legislation that's moving through Tallahassee right now where they may be implementing term limits for board members. What's your hot take on that?
Well, I hate to see that much regulation because I know we're having some problems in South Florida right now. We have associations and litigation, and the Department of Business Regulation is looking at the professional regulation is looking at some of these, and the condo division is getting a lot of complaints. So we've got a lot of issues down there, and they're just exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. We've got personal agendas and egos, and they have their own thing going, and it's becoming. I don't want to see that.
Right.
I really don't.
So you're not in favor of the term limit?
No, because I think if you find a good person, God love it. They chew them up and spit them out so quick.
Well, it all came about from actually a complimentary message that we got from somebody that listens to the show, who's actually been the president of their board for 24 years. I mean, the guy's I think he lived there about 3 years before he became president. He's been president ever since. He must be doing a good job. I would like to assume that someone that's been in that role for that long is probably doing a good job.
Possibly.
And now they're going to legally push him out.
Well, but right. And, the 23 years is probably a little too long. But
no, I agree. I can see both sides of the coin.
I think there should be people coming in and out that volunteer and have different opinions and perspectives.
Or maybe a rotating position.
Right. Well, there's another interesting twist that I'm seeing as a condo coach, where we have boards, they're trying to have us come in and coach so they can get people to actually join their boards.
Train them, right.
Because, we have some boards right now that are illegal in the fact that they don't have enough board members.
Wow.
And by law, they're subjecting themselves to receivership.
Right.
And if a receiver was to come in, you're going to talk, somebody's going to charge $100,000 a year, and they're going to run it exactly like the board should without any care.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing associations where we actually, across the state, they're calling up and they go, how do we get board members?
Well, and that's, again, when we talk about these playbooks, when we talk about the blog posts on our website, again, thecondocoaches.com. And if you want the playbooks, thecondocoaches.com/playbooks. These aren't just for the board members. These are also for the residents, because we want to educate and inform people as to exactly what they're signing up for when you become a board member, because some people won't sign up simply because they don't know what all entails in the responsibility of joining a board.
Well, and the other thing is we've had a lot of questions about property management, and we have tons of great property managers across the state of Florida for sure.
Right.
We're actually going to have a property management coach come on that's running a big division and talk about, because there's so much that if a board will really outline what they need to do from the property manager, they can do a lot of what I call the lifting, make sure the bids are prepared and all this. But
heavy lifting.
If they don't know what the property management capabilities are, that's where you get all this kind of wishy-washy and scope. So.
All right. So, well, before we get into that, we got to kind of wrap up this segment. But again, all the information you need on today's topic and every topic we've ever discussed is at thecondocoaches.com. Thecondocoaches.com. Our final segment for today's show coming up with Barry Scarr and head coach Dean Akers. We'll be right back.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
Life is full of bittersweet transitions. It's difficult to know how these changes will impact us over time. For some people, difficult transitions like retirement, divorce, or loss of a loved one can hit harder than expected. and may contribute to feelings of hopelessness or even thoughts of suicide. The risk of suicide is even higher for men over 50 who served our country. Guys like me. That's why support from friends and family makes such a big difference. Every day, your actions could help save a life. Together, we got this. Learn how you can help save a life at veteranscrisisline.net.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Final segment of the Condo Coaches radio show. We are talking Community Association Insurance, the Community Associations Instutute with Barry Scarr, our insurance and guest coach for the day. And of course, head coach Dean Akers. I've got here fanned out in front of me our 4 playbooks, which you can get absolutely free right now at thecondocoaches.com/playbook. That's thecondocoaches.com/playbook. These are absolutely free. Once you fill out the form for us, just to let us know you're a human being, we actually email these to you right to your email inbox, and they're an easy to download PDF, or you can actually download them right from the website. Right after you fill out the form, they show up right there on the website. You download the copies, and then at that point, you can give them to whoever you want. Forward the email as much as you want. We'd love for you to disseminate this information because, again, we're doing this to help your community association run effectively, efficiently, and on budget. And again, we love you digesting the show and sharing the show as well. So please find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, for the podcast version of the show, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and now Overcast. So you can find the show just about anywhere and everywhere you want to listen to it or watch it. We're talking, again, Community Association Insurance. We were touching a bit on term limits, which is kind of a little bit of a hot topic right now because it is moving through the legislature, and also getting in some of the basics as to why a community association needs insurance. We talked about insuring the board, right? And obviously some of the fiduciary things kind of coming into play there. But you were saying that really the property insurance makes up the bulk of that. Let's talk timeline. When should a community association be looking to renegotiate or bid out their insurance policies?
Well, you want to do it, I think, certainly an annual checkup sort of thing is appropriate. I'm seeing, because of the soft market, when the wind doesn't blow in Florida, everybody's happy. And so, the last 2 storms we had did absolutely nothing to affect the financial infrastructure. So it's been about 12 years, and billions of dollars have built up of capital. A lot of players coming in. Citizens is out for condos. I've got general liability carriers coming in that have never written a piece of property ever.
Well, a little bit of background. I mean, Citizens was a government-created insurance company that kind of served as a safety net for a while.
Because of Hurricane Andrew in 1992,
right?
Everything collapsed, and then again the hurricanes in 04 and 05, put us in a tailspin, and so now because of a few storms, everything's been built up again. Citizens and the CAT fund in the state of Florida are adequately funded. So, Citizens pulled back. They're no longer writing associations. So the private market has stepped in and made a hell of a difference. It's
Were you surprised by that actually happened? I didn't think that would ever happen.
Well, they're still in business, but only for the individual homeowners for the most part.
Right.
Right. But Mother Nature is the one that's controlling this.
Well,
we had a question, though. I was sharing with him. We did have a question. Somebody is on a board of the South Florida Association, Condo.
Yeah.
And their property is going up in cost, property insurance, and they actually mention Citizens that it's so expensive. And I wanted to use today, since he was on, should they be shopping that out now?
Well, they should be, but Citizens is no longer in the game. So, and somebody mentioned that, I don't even want to buy it anymore. Well,
Yeah, and he said, "Do I have to buy it?"
So you better do two things. You better check with the lenders in your association and see if you want to sell any units. And number two, you got to look at the condo association documents.
Well, and really, they're driving up the cost because they're wanting to discourage people from going to Citizens now that there are private market options.
But actually, the market is crashing. So in the last couple of years, the property market premiums are running 30 to 50% less than they were. So that's 90% of your insurance budget, and probably a very 20 or 30% of your total budget. Some associations, especially in South Florida.
So if this guy thinks he has Citizens, he probably doesn't.
No, he does not.
Oh, okay. Because he
not in an association.
Right.
Not in an association. So the market is there. There's admitted carriers, and we can go into a couple hours if we have time to go into non-admitted, admitted markets. But the State Farm, Nationwide, all states are out of it. But there's other carriers that are admitted and regulated by the Office of Insurance Regulation. There are players, and they're coming in more. We have the surplus lines, the Lloyd's of London's. They're playing big time and driving rates down.
Well, and so exactly to my point, if someone wants to go insurance policy shopping for their community association, where should that process start?
They need to start with their agent and look at other agents. And of course, I recommend the CIRMS designation of the Community Insurance and Risk Management Specialist, people that actually, you go to a heart specialist, you don't go to a podiatrist for your heart. So, go to who does that a lot. But there's so much opportunity now. I haven't seen the rates and the coverages available in 2 decades. The way that property market is. So I think you need to.
So right now is definitely the time to revisit some of those contracts.
Revisit it, and the 718 for the condos. You've got to have you've got to establish the building values by an appraisal, by an independent appraisal. So the statute does require that. It's got to be updated every 36 months. We recommend you update it annually. Take advantage of the fluctuations in the market, and certainly as part of your fiduciary, you want to get as close to that number as possible. But there are other coverages, doing away with co-insurance, agreed amount, ordinance or law coverage, other coverages, guaranteed replacement. They're becoming available now that we haven't had because they wouldn't do it.
Right.
And so a lot of opportunity for premium savings and better coverage. Get a second opinion on that with somebody that has experience in this world.
Well, and certainly doing it now. I mean, we're in April. I mean, not waiting until, summer's just a couple months away. And typically that, of course, is a hurricane storm season.
It's a good time to review it, but most associations are subject to the renewal. So if the renewal's in November, we're probably not going to look at it right now. Sure. But I agree, coming into the storm season is a good time to do a little checkup. And one of the things I'd recommend where we get caught more often than anything is making sure that all the buildings that you think are supposed to be covered, building items, we have an agreement amongst the board and management that's what we want insured. Because if you're missing building 5, I can guarantee you 100% you will not get paid for that building because you didn't pay premium on it.
Sure.
If the building's got the wrong address, it's not an issue. You paid premium on it. But if it's not there, so we want to make sure that we do have the contents of the club, we do have the contents in the building, or we do have the pool, the jacuzzi, or the playground, whatever. And if some of the stuff you don't want to insure, fine.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. It's just let's all be on the same page.
And give us kind of a, maybe a little bullet point list of some of the things that a community can do, maybe to even, add some savings there, some of the things that they can do to get a better rate, some of the things that they can be proactive with.
Well, and again, on the risk management side, on the GL, on the general liability, I don't worry about too much of those things. You want to have the party and the BYOB, you got coverage, you got liquor liability. Those are all included. I don't like to restrain the community living concept by not having these functions. I think where you can save money is on the property side again, where most of the premium is make sure your building is up to date with the hurricane windows. A lot of associations are putting in the high impact windows. Getting the wind mitigation done. Ask your agent about mitigating the wind. It's part of the risk management thing.
Okay.
Let's make sure we're getting all the credits and discounts that we could possibly get that are available to us, getting all those locked down. And then going out and doing getting some second opinions from different sources on the different, because there's so many new markets coming in that are valued, that are viable, financially strong. and getting those opinions.
Now, we've got about a minute and a half left, but roofs, how important are the roofs in that equation when it comes to property insurance, and can they do anything to, again, maybe soften the blow on the property insurance, being that roofs obviously age, I think, a little quicker than in some other places?
They're not important. We could do without them. No, they're the key. So if we can keep the roof on, we're probably going to save the building. So updating the tie downs and that roofing system. If you're a high rise with a concrete roof, you're all set. You just
so definitely invest in that roof.
Take a look at it. Whatever you can do to keep the roof on, then we're going to keep the building, the integrity of the building together. The windows are next, but there's not a lot of savings in the windows, but there's opportunity because it just makes sense to do that.
And if we have a homeowner association or condo out there that wants to have a coach come in and help them with that second opinion,
right?
We do that. We're volunteers. We're not there to sell.
Right.
We're there to help them, and we have those people available all across the state.
Yeah. So again, if you and your board of directors would like an insurance assessment, we'd be more than happy to get you plugged in with somebody in our Condo Coaches network to come out to your community and do that. And of course, the way you do that is reaching out to us the way that you can reach out to the show, and that's you can call us 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415. You can contact us through our website. There's actually a number of contact forms on our website, so you can do that at thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com, and of course, email is also great. And Dean answer those personally now. But we do try to get back to every email as soon as possible. That's help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. It's been another great show. Thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to The Condo Coaches, brought to you by lmfunding.com. Find us online at thecondocoaches.com and join us this same time next week as we help you navigate life in your managed community.